For a long time, human history was told as if it truly began with Homo sapiens. Everything before us was treated as a vague prelude, a blurry stage filled with primitive figures who barely mattered. But when we trace the timeline back nearly 2 million years, that narrative collapses. Long before modern humans appeared, a different species emerged and quietly rewrote the rules of survival, movement, and adaptation. Homo erectus was not just another branch on the human family tree. It was a turning point. Without Homo erectus, there would be no story of global migration, no mastery of fire, no long-distance endurance, and no technological traditions passed down for hundreds of thousands of years. This species laid the groundwork for nearly everything that defines humanity today. Their success was not accidental, and their impact was anything but small. Homo erectus first appeared around 1.8 million years ago in eastern Africa, in regions that today include Kenya, Tanzania, and Ethiopia. At first glance, they may have seemed like a slightly more robust version of earlier hominins, but fossil discoveries soon revealed something far more significant. Sites like Kubi Fora and Olduvai Gorge showed that these individuals were built differently. Later finds in places as distant as Java and China confirmed it. Homo erectus was the first human species with body proportions strikingly similar to our own. They had long legs, a narrower torso, and a posture designed for efficiency over open terrain. This anatomy did not evolve randomly. It emerged during dramatic climatic shifts in the Pleistocene, a period marked by fluctuating temperatures, expanding grasslands, and shrinking forests. Survival in this changing world required the ability to travel long distances in search of food, water, and shelter. Homo erectus was built for that challenge. Before we dive in, drop your location in the comments and subscribe to Primal Roots if you're enjoying the journey. Unlike their tree-dependent ancestors, they thrived on the ground. Their bodies were optimized for endurance rather than short bursts of strength. This meant walking and likely running for miles under the sun without exhausting themselves. Such efficiency demanded better heat regulation, and many researchers believe this period marked a critical shift in human thermoregulation. Reduced body hair combined with an increased number of sweat glands may have allowed Homo erectus to stay cool while remaining active during the hottest parts of the day. While debates continue about the exact timing of these changes, most scientists agree that Homo erectus introduced a new kind of human body, resilient, heat-tolerant, and built for exploration. Physical transformation was only part of the story. Inside the skull, important changes were also underway. Earlier hominins typically had brain sizes around 500 cubic centimeters. Homo erectus showed a noticeable increase, ranging from about 600 to over 1,100 cubic centimeters across different populations and time periods. This growth did not happen overnight. It unfolded gradually alongside shifts in behavior and technology. A larger brain does not automatically mean modern intelligence or complex language. There is no evidence that Homo erectus thought symbolically the way we do, but their expanding cognitive capacity likely supported better memory, planning, and problem-solving. These abilities left tangible traces in the archaeological record, especially in the tools they produced. One of the most defining features of Homo erectus culture was the Acheulean stone tool tradition. Unlike earlier, simple stone flakes, Acheulean hand axes were carefully shaped, symmetrical, and standardized, creating one required skill, foresight, and precision. These tools were not improvised. They followed recognizable patterns that remained consistent for hundreds of thousands of years. Such consistency reveals something remarkable. Knowledge was being transmitted across generations. Acheulean tools appear across Africa, Europe, and the Middle East, suggesting that groups carried both the tools and the know-how with them as they moved. This was not just technology, it was culture. Learning how to shape stone this way likely involved observation, imitation, and repeated practice. Modern experiments show that mastering these techniques can take weeks, even for trained humans today. Perhaps the most astonishing achievement of Homo erectus was their ability to leave Africa. They were the first humans to do so successfully and permanently. Fossils from Dmanisi, in present-day Georgia, date back over 1.7 million years, showing that this migration happened far earlier than once believed. From there, Homo erectus spread across vast territories, reaching Southeast Asia and what is now Indonesia, with evidence on the island of Java exceeding 1 million years in age. This expansion was not a single journey but likely occurred in waves, driven by environmental pressures, population growth, and resource availability. What makes it extraordinary is that Homo erectus survived in dramatically different environments: tropical forests, open savannas, arid plains, and temperate zones, while maintaining the same basic body plan. Few species in human history have demonstrated such ecological flexibility. Diet played a crucial role in this success. Compared to earlier hominins, Homo erectus consumed meat more regularly. Animal protein and fat provided high-calorie energy that supported larger brains and more active bodies. Cut marks on fossilized animal bones show that they processed carcasses with stone tools, sometimes competing with large predators like hyenas and big cats. This does not mean they were skilled big-game hunters from the start. Most evidence suggests that scavenging came first, with hunting becoming more common as tools and coordination improved. Over time, their dietary range expanded further. They likely consumed roots, tubers, fruits, and other calorie-rich plant foods, adapting their eating habits to local environments. This flexibility reduced the risk of starvation and supported population growth across diverse regions. No discovery associated with Homo erectus has sparked more debate than their relationship with fire. For decades, the idea that such an early species controlled fire was controversial. But evidence from sites like Wonderwerk Cave in South Africa changed that view. Microscopic ash particles and burned bone fragments suggest that Homo erectus was using fire intentionally nearly 1 million years ago. Fire altered everything. It provided warmth, protection from predators, and light after sunset. It extended waking hours and transformed social dynamics. While there is no clear proof that Homo erectus cooked food consistently, even basic fire control would have been revolutionary. Groups could gather around a stable heat source, strengthening social bonds and cooperation. Fire turned dangerous landscapes into manageable spaces. Another extraordinary aspect of Homo erectus is how long they survived as a species. They existed for roughly 1.8 million years. To put that into perspective, Homo sapiens has been around for about 300,000 years. Homo erectus endured 6 times longer than we have so far. This longevity was not the result of a single advantage. It emerged from a combination of traits: adaptability, mobility, generalist survival strategies, and resistance to environmental change. While highly specialized species often vanish when conditions shift, Homo erectus remained flexible. They did not rely on one type of food, climate, or habitat. That adaptability made them one of the most successful humans who ever lived. Yet Homo erectus was not a static species. Over time, regional populations developed noticeable differences. Some Asian groups retained more ancestral traits, while African populations showed trends toward increased brain size and facial changes. Many researchers believe Homo erectus eventually gave rise to Homo heidelbergensis, which later produced Neanderthals in Europe and possibly modern humans in Africa. This places Homo erectus at the center of human evolution, not as a side branch, but as a bridge between early hominins and later human species. Their legacy is not limited to fossils and tools. It lives on in the way we move, explore, and adapt. Every new discovery adds depth to their story, Finds like the Nariokotome boy in Kenya reveal growth patterns and body development. Ongoing research in East Asia continues to challenge assumptions about their diversity and reach. What remains clear is that Homo erectus was not merely surviving in a harsh world. They were shaping it. Human history did not begin with us. It began when a species learned how to walk farther, think ahead, share knowledge, and face an uncertain world with resilience. Homo erectus did exactly that, and the echoes of their choices still define what it means to be human. As research into Homo erectus advanced, a surprising pattern began to emerge. The more fossils were discovered, the less uniform this species appeared. For much of the 20th century, Homo erectus was portrayed as a single, clearly defined population spread across Africa and Eurasia. That picture no longer holds. Evidence now points to a species marked by remarkable internal diversity, shaped by geography, climate, and time. Cranial remains from China, Indonesia, Georgia, and Africa reveal variations in skull shape, facial structure, and brain size that are difficult to ignore. Some Asian specimens display thicker cranial bones and more pronounced brow ridges, while African fossils tend to show slightly expanded cranial capacity and subtler facial changes. These differences once fueled arguments for splitting Homo erectus into multiple species. Today, many researchers favor a different interpretation, a single, widespread lineage capable of substantial variation, much like modern humans. The discoveries at Dmanisi, in present-day Georgia, transformed this debate. 5 skulls found at the same site, dating to roughly 1.8 million years ago, show striking anatomical differences despite belonging to the same population. If such variation existed within a single group, it suggests that diversity was not an exception, but a defining feature of Homo erectus. Human evolution, rather than following a neat, linear path, appears increasingly complex and branching. This diversity extended beyond physical traits and into behavior. For decades, Homo erectus was imagined as living in small, loosely connected groups with minimal social structure. Fossil evidence has begun to challenge that assumption. One of the most compelling examples comes again from Dmanisi, where researchers identified the skull of an elderly individual who had lost nearly all functional teeth yet survived for years. In a prehistoric world without processed food, such survival would have been nearly impossible alone. The most plausible explanation is social support. This does not imply organized caregiving in a modern sense, but it does suggest cooperation, tolerance, and shared responsibility. Food may have been softened, shared, or selectively provided. Protection may have come from remaining within the group. These findings indicate that early forms of social bonds and mutual dependence existed long before the appearance of Homo sapiens. Cooperation, it seems, has deep evolutionary roots. Technology further reinforces this picture of cognitive and social complexity. Acheulean tools were not simply effective, they were remarkably consistent across vast distances and long periods of time. Producing a hand axe required selecting the right raw material, understanding fracture mechanics, and visualizing the final shape before the first strike. This process demanded planning rather than improvisation. The persistence of Acheulean technology for over 1 million years raises important questions. Cultural stability of this magnitude is rare even among humans. It suggests that Homo erectus possessed reliable methods for transmitting knowledge. Whether through gesture, vocalization, or observation, information passed from one generation to the next with minimal distortion. This continuity hints at learning systems more sophisticated than previously assumed. Geographic expansion played a central role in shaping these behaviors. As Homo erectus moved into new regions, they encountered unfamiliar climates, plants, and animals. In Southeast Asia, dense forests and high humidity posed different challenges than African savannas. In temperate zones, seasonal changes demanded flexibility. Survival depended not on specialization, but on adaptability. Recent studies suggest that the dispersal of Homo erectus into Asia may have occurred earlier and faster than once believed. Some evidence indicates their presence in Java close to 2 million years ago. If confirmed, this would mean that Homo erectus began spreading across continents soon after emerging in Africa. Such rapid expansion implies advanced ecological awareness and resilience. Dietary adaptation was critical to this success. While meat consumption increased compared to earlier hominins, Homo erectus did not rely solely on animal resources. Archaeological and anatomical evidence points to a broad, opportunistic diet. Tubers, fruits, seeds, and possibly aquatic resources supplemented their meals. This varied intake reduced vulnerability to environmental fluctuations and supported long-term population stability. Changes in dental wear patterns and jaw structure over time suggest shifts in how food was processed and consumed. As tools improved, less force was required to chew tough materials. These gradual changes reflect a feedback loop between technology, diet, and anatomy, each influencing the others over thousands of generations. The relationship between Homo erectus and their environment extended beyond food. Although there is no definitive evidence of constructed shelters, the repeated use of caves and strategic locations suggests environmental awareness. Sites with access to water, elevated visibility, and natural protection appear repeatedly in the archaeological record. These choices reflect planning and risk assessment rather than random occupation. Fire amplified these capabilities. Controlled flames transformed dangerous spaces into manageable habitats. Nighttime activity became possible, predators were deterred, and colder regions became accessible. Fire likely reshaped daily rhythms, encouraging longer periods of social interaction. Even without formal language, shared routines around fire may have strengthened group cohesion. Communication remains one of the most debated aspects of Homo erectus life. The anatomical structure of the vocal tract suggests limitations compared to modern humans, but limitations do not imply silence. Effective communication does not require complex syntax. Gestures, facial expressions, body language, and simple vocal signals could have conveyed essential information. Coordinated activities, such as carcass transport or group defense, would have been difficult without some shared system of signals. Longevity as a species raises an unavoidable question. Why did Homo erectus eventually disappear? The answer remains uncertain, but most researchers agree that extinction was neither sudden nor uniform. In Africa, populations appear to have declined earlier, possibly giving rise to more derived species. In Southeast Asia, Homo erectus survived much longer. Fossils from Indonesia suggest their presence until approximately 117,000 years ago. This extended survival means that Homo erectus overlapped in time with other human species, while Homo sapiens spread across Africa and Neanderthals occupied Europe. Isolated populations of erectus persisted elsewhere. This coexistence challenges older models of human evolution that depicted a simple replacement process. Instead, multiple human forms shared the planet, each adapted to specific niches. Environmental change likely played a role in the eventual decline of Homo erectus. Shifting climates altered habitats, food availability, and migration routes. Competition with emerging human species may have added pressure. However, the slow, uneven disappearance of erectus populations suggests gradual replacement rather than catastrophic failure. What emerges from this evidence is a portrait of Homo erectus as neither primitive nor simplistic. They were explorers, innovators, and survivors. Their lives were shaped by cooperation, learning, and adaptability. They did not merely endure environmental challenges, they responded creatively, leaving behind patterns of behavior that would define human evolution. Understanding Homo erectus requires abandoning the idea of progress as a straight line. Evolution did not move smoothly from simple to complex. It experimented, adapted, and diversified. Homo erectus represents one of the most successful outcomes of that process, a species that thrived by remaining flexible in an unpredictable world. Their story is not a footnote to human history. It is a foundation. Many traits considered uniquely human today, endurance, technological tradition, social cooperation, and global movement, were already present in a recognizable form nearly 2 million years ago. Homo erectus lived in a world far harsher than our own, yet their solutions to survival continue to echo through time. As evidence accumulates and technology improves, this picture will continue to evolve. What remains certain is that Homo erectus was not simply waiting to be replaced. They were actively shaping the evolutionary landscape, setting the stage for everything that followed. The story of Homo erectus does not end with extinction. What remains is a legacy woven deeply into human biology, behavior, and the way the planet itself has been occupied. Although no living population can be identified as a direct continuation of this species with absolute certainty, many of the traits that define modern humans began to take shape during its long existence. Understanding Homo erectus is not simply an exercise in reconstructing the past, it is an effort to recognize how deeply ancient adaptations continue to influence life today. One of the most visible inheritances lies in the human body. The proportions established by Homo erectus, long legs relative to arms, a stabilized torso and an efficient stride, formed the blueprint for endurance-based movement. These features allowed sustained travel across open landscapes, conserving energy while covering great distances. Fossils such as the Nariokotomi boy reveal that this body plan was not only adult anatomy, but was established early in development. Growth patterns suggest a prolonged childhood compared to earlier hominins, allowing time for learning and social integration. This balance between physical maturity and extended development would later become a defining characteristic of the human lineage. Thermoregulation also reflects this legacy. The ability to remain active under intense heat without overheating played a decisive role in survival and expansion. Efficient sweating, reduced body hair, and internal temperature control were not isolated physiological changes, but part of a coordinated system that supported mobility, foraging, and persistence hunting. These adaptations still shape human performance today, from long-distance athletics to labor in extreme climates. Cognitive evolution followed a similarly gradual path. While Homo erectus did not possess the symbolic thinking or complex language of modern humans, its neurological development marked a critical transition. Brain expansion during this period was accompanied by changes in internal organization, supporting improved memory, spatial awareness, and decision-making. These capacities enabled long-term planning, such as selecting tool materials in advance or returning repeatedly to favorable locations. Cultural continuity stands as one of the most compelling indicators of cognitive advancement. The Acheulean tradition endured for over 1 million years with remarkable consistency. This persistence cannot be explained by instinct alone. It required teaching, learning, and a shared understanding of technique. Cultural knowledge became a survival asset, reducing trial and error and increasing efficiency. This marked a shift from individual problem-solving to collective experience, a cornerstone of later human societies. Communication, though still poorly understood, likely played an essential role in maintaining this continuity. Anatomical evidence suggests limitations in vocal complexity, yet effective communication does not depend solely on speech. Gestures, posture, facial expressions, and patterned sounds could have conveyed warnings, intentions, and social cues. Coordination during group activities, such as transporting resources or maintaining access to fire, implies shared signals and mutual understanding. Communication, in this sense, preceded language and laid its foundation. Environmental impact represents another enduring aspect of the Homo erectus legacy. With the controlled use of fire, landscapes began to change in response to human behavior. Vegetation patterns, predator dynamics, and access to new territories were all influenced by fire management. This marked a fundamental shift in the relationship between humans and nature. The environment was no longer merely adapted to, it was actively shaped. This capacity to alter surroundings would later intensify with agriculture and urbanization, but its origins trace back to this early species. Despite these achievements, many questions remain unanswered. The archaeological record offers limited insight into symbolic behavior. There is no clear evidence of art, ritualized burial, or abstract representation. However, absence of evidence does not confirm absence of behavior. Organic materials such as wood, plant fibers, and animal skins rarely survive over such immense timescales. Tools or structures made from these materials would leave little trace, creating gaps in the record that may never be filled. The end of Homo erectus remains one of the most debated topics in paleoanthropology. Evidence suggests a gradual decline rather than a sudden disappearance. In Africa, populations may have transitioned into more derived forms, contributing to the emergence of Homo heidelbergensis and later lineages. In Asia, particularly Indonesia, Homo erectus persisted far longer, surviving until approximately 117,000 years ago. This extended survival indicates resilience rather than failure. The coexistence of Homo erectus with other human species reshapes how human evolution is understood. Rather than a single dominant lineage replacing all others, multiple human forms occupied the planet simultaneously. Each adapted to different ecological niches, responding to local conditions with unique solutions. This diversity challenges outdated models that portrayed evolution as a ladder. Instead, it resembles a branching tree with overlapping timelines and complex interactions. Technological innovation continued to evolve after Homo erectus, but many later advances built directly on foundations they established. Improved hunting strategies, more sophisticated tools, and eventually symbolic culture did not emerge in isolation. They developed within a framework of mobility, cooperation, and environmental control that Homo erectus had already put in place. Even traits often considered uniquely modern, such as long-term planning and shared knowledge, have deep roots in this earlier period. Modern scientific methods continue to refine this understanding. Digital imaging allows researchers to examine internal cranial structures without damaging fossils. Isotopic analysis reveals information about ancient diets and migration patterns. Dental microwear studies provide clues about food processing techniques. Each technological advance adds resolution to a picture that was once limited to surface observations. As data accumulates, interpretations shift, emphasizing flexibility and complexity rather than simplicity. Yet some mysteries may remain unsolved. Did Homo erectus intentionally bury their dead? Did they mark territories or follow seasonal migration routes with consistent planning? Did they develop social hierarchies or stable pair bonds? These questions persist because behavior does not fossilize easily. What survives are fragments, bones, stones, traces of fire, requiring careful interpretation. What is increasingly clear is that Homo erectus should not be viewed as an incomplete version of modern humans. They were complete in their own context, exceptionally well adapted to the world they inhabited. Their success over nearly 2 million years speaks to strategies that worked across dramatic environmental changes. Few species in Earth's history have demonstrated such endurance. The influence of Homo erectus extends beyond physical traits and technologies. It altered the trajectory of evolution itself. By expanding across continents, this species exposed future human populations to new selective pressures. Cold climates, novel pathogens, and unfamiliar resources shaped subsequent adaptations. Without this early expansion, later human diversity may never have emerged. In this sense, Homo erectus did not simply precede modern humans, it prepared the stage on which later human history unfolded. The ability to inhabit nearly every environment on the planet did not originate with Homo sapiens. It was inherited. The capacity to move, adapt, and cooperate was refined over countless generations before symbolic thought appeared. Today, stone tools, fossilized bones, and traces of ancient fire continue to surface from the ground, each offering a glimpse into lives lived unimaginably long ago. These remains are not relics of failure or extinction, but evidence of innovation and resilience. Homo erectus transformed what it meant to be human, long before the word human had meaning. Understanding this species reshapes how modern humanity is perceived. Rather than standing apart from nature or history, humans emerge as the product of a long continuum of adaptation. Traits often celebrated as uniquely modern, curiosity, endurance, cooperation, are not sudden inventions. They are inheritances. The legacy of Homo erectus endures not because the species survived in flesh and bone, but because its solutions to survival became embedded in the human story. Every long journey, every shared tool, every controlled flame echoes choices made nearly 2 million years ago. The past is not distant. It lives on in structure, behavior, and possibility. Human evolution remains an open narrative, shaped by discovery and reinterpretation. As new evidence emerges, the story of Homo erectus will continue to expand, reminding us that humanity did not arise fully formed, but was built slowly through resilience, experimentation, and adaptation. In recognizing this, the boundary between past and present grows thinner, revealing a shared origin that still defines who we are. If this journey into human origins sparked your curiosity, stay with us. Subscribe for more discoveries and share which ancient human you want to explore next.